Okay, everyone, welcome back. Um, Tonight, I thought I would pick up where I left off 2 weeks ago, playing around with WinUI and Material Design and XAML, and just seeing how much effort it's going to take. I've gotten some feedback from people saying that this is something that might be interesting to them, and so I wanted to at least start the process of getting that work into the main repo. That way, there's something for people to work on and build from. So. This is not a commitment to saying that there will be a WinUI port. There is no guarantee of that. I'm probably not going to guarantee it right up until the moment I click the button to push the NuGet package. So just be aware that this is not a guarantee of anything there, but something that is interesting and worth exploring. So just to be clear of where things are at and how that's going, but I did want to get something in the repo so that there could be something to work from. I know there's been a UWP thing that's been sitting in the repo for a while, never really got traction, but I figured I wanted to do something kind of similar to see if people were interested, wanted to get some traction behind this and help out. So if WinUI is something interesting to you and you want to help contribute to it, please feel free. Hopefully after tonight, the stuff is back in the main repository where everyone can see it, look at it, play with it. We'll go from there. And so if there is enough feedback and we get something that at least meets some sort of kind of minimum viable product, um, sure, why not? We'll kick it out the door, see what happens. So just want to be aware of that. Part of the apprehension is anything that ships. I usually put myself kind of on the hook for keeping track of it and maintaining it to some degree. Obviously, it's open source, so no implied or expressed warranty or SLA behind it. But I do try to make sure that everything that goes out at least makes me feel good about what was built. So that is where things are at. And let's all right, 1 second. I'm gonna twist. Sorry, I'm seeing a little corner in my green screen and it's annoying me. Might have to real quick just filter that guy down a little bit. Nope, one more. There we go. Boom. Crop that. Okay. Perfect. So let's dive back in. I also, just for fun, apparently had to reclone my repository because something had gone wrong with my Git index and things were not happy. So just as a reminder of where we left off at, let's fire this up and we're going to go from there. So we had started off picking just on the button, right? We were going to go with something simple, something straightforward that was easy to do, right? And the button's kind of the stereotypical starting point. So we went with that. And of course, it's in the wrong spot. But so there is a bit of this, and I can't decide if I actually like it or not, right? So there's the speed of the ripple, which I recall was part of the thing, right? Which was something to address. We do have the nice little rounded corners there, though a little bit harder to see. It is somewhat rounded. The ripple is making it difficult to tell, right? Because the ripple is not properly going away. So there's still work to be done on this button, but I think what I want to do is pick this code up and bring it over into the main library, and then we can continue work on it there. So this was sitting just in a local project that I threw together. And what I want to do is take the main project. So let's before I get too carried away, let's create a branch. So WinUI experiment. All right, we'll throw something like that together. All right, and so what I want to do is start with this. So let's do a new project here. And this, once again, is going to be just one more thing that adds to, if people want to open up the full solution, it's yet one more thing you have to make sure you have installed in order to compile the whole solution. And this is going to take it just a minute because I blew away my entire repo. So this is a very clean, very fresh repository, as it were. Come on. Last I checked, add new project. There we go. Thank you. Okay, so I think that's probably the one I want. But let's go here. Blank app. I'm trying to decide what I want. Desktop app based on the WinUI 3. I kind of want WinUI 3. So that's what we're going to build into. I do wonder if I can get away without doing the packaging. We'll see. I don't know if you can actually do that. So let's come into here. Oh, so these we have been just keeping everything at the root. So let's call it main demo dot WinUI. Main demo dot WinUI. And sure. And we are going to go with. I don't think. I don't know if the Windows 10 version is actually ultimately going to matter. We might need something in it. Now, I am curious, can I get away with dropping this packaging? Because I don't actually care. Something in the back of my mind is telling me that I wasn't able to start this guy directly. Come on, go and find your way through all of this. Oh, this guy is probably unhappy because these things likely contain, these things contain package references. And this is no bueno. So let's grab these guys, and underneath my solution items, so we are using these guys, centralized package minute with NuGet, just for those who aren't familiar with it. Okay, so Microsoft Elemental P. Yeah, so we're gonna go. Think like that. And I think like that, which means then over here, we simply drop the version. So now we don't have to think about what version is actually installed in the application, right? So that gets us to there. And that should hopefully make this guy figure out his dependencies, is my thought. Let me just double check. It is package reference, right? Package reference include name. Yeah, so it should be that simple. I'm going to unload and reload. Unload, reload. And hopefully it figures itself out and is able to, yeah, it is restoring dependencies. Why are you giving me problems? Okay, so we're going to turn those off. This version of Project Reunion requires WinRT runtime version 1, 2, or greater. I'm sorry, what? Oh, don't tell me you're gonna bite me on that. Oh, come on. That's going to make me very, very annoyed if you don't support this. Requires please update to net 506 SDK or later. So, or add temporary reference Windows SDK, for example, blah 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 blah. Okay, so that .NET -- list SDKs. 506. Is 506 even released, right? Let's close this up. Install .NET SDK. Yeah. It's asking for a version that doesn't exist. I have to believe. Okay, so what we are going to do. Well, this thing was convenient enough to just give me the answer. So let's do this. So we're gonna copy that beast in and see. Oh, I need to fix my indentation rules. Nope. XML should not be 4 spaces. Okay, so rebuild. You happy now? Okay. Well, the good news is the error told us exactly what to do, so that makes me happy. Error signing output with public key SNK. I'm sorry, what? You're expecting to find a key file somewhere. Did the other one have a key? It claimed that it was up a directory. Let's go up one. I don't really want to sign it with anything. I kind of just want to build it. Okay. So where is the thingy that thinks that it needs to be signed? Is it in the manifest? No. Let's look at the properties. Why do you think I realize that the packaged apps do need to be signed. I just don't really want to sign this. Can I get away without signing it is my question. Sign assembly, false. Will you compile? Okay, so it claims the NuGet restore failed. NuGet package restore failed. Please see error list window for detailed warnings and errors. There are times. There are times. Okay. Okay, so we've got a couple nullability warnings. Not a big deal. Address those later. That seemed to launch. Okay, now the big question. Can I just start you, or do I actually need to package you? I know it really wants to package it. Yeah, that's what I kind of wondered. Is ultimately at the end of the day, I think I actually have to go through the packaging in order for this to work. Which I kind of get. It's just a... so let's build. Okay. Project needs to be deployed before we can debug. So deploy. Launch. Oh, come on. Let's try that one more time. Okay, so what is the error? Class not registered. Oy vey. Identifier exception is undefined. Awesome. Okay, I don't really know how to proceed then. Part of me wonders if the reason this thing is falling apart is due to the CS Prodigy bits here. Right? I'm wondering if it's not hip to some of the I'm wondering if one of these libraries isn't loading the way it expects, therefore it falls over. Okay, so let's go and look here. This is what, this is why it was wanting to sign. This guy was doing it to me. Got it. Okay. That explains it. Where then is the... So this is everything that's being specified. Lang version, error reporting, sign. What is in you? Is there anything that I'm worried? So hang on, I'm now a little confused why it didn't find the key. It didn't find the key because it was up 2 additional levels. Okay, so let's change this up then. So this guy here is ultimately the problem. Let's go here. Rather than turning off sign assembly, we're going to just do that instead. All right, and then we will rebuild. Okay. Okay, so that should be happy. Deploy. All right. Okay, launch. Okay, class not registered. This is somewhat annoying, especially since I know this is halfway working. So target platform might be an issue. So let's see here. This does set up some configurations. Is there a possibility that this is biting us? This does have some configurations here. I am wondering, let's just start eliminating some possibilities. All right, so relaunch. Okay, I also don't know to what level rebuild. All right, rebuild. I don't know which of these things need to be rebuilt, so we're just going to go for it. Configuration debug x86. I do wonder if that could have been biting me. Okay, so that didn't do what I expected. Deploy. So that didn't get me where I was going. Oh, so this might be a bit of a clue. The properties window here is just blowing up. Does that also occur if I look at it over here? It does. Excellent. I was worried that that would have made sense. Expected 1 value from configuration general output path, but got 6. Let's see. I'm guessing that's because of this. This isn't quite how I wanted this to be going. I wanted to spend time building out that project and not spend time futzing with this simply because it's in the repo. But I do want it in the repo. Grumble, 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 right? Just to confirm, we did test that this thing works. Right? Yes. Works. Launches. Everyone's happy. Okay. Still doesn't give me any useful error messages. From target x86, we don't have. The only other thing I can come up with is, so the configurations, these are just for NuGet packaging. These are for signing. I wonder if this guy is actually breaking us. So let's circle back here. Right? So we're going to do this guy. Does this one have any packages that matter? That guy does have a package reference as well. Well, let's grab both of you guys because part of me is quickly wondering if the centralized package management is the problem. But so we turn that off, turn that off. This becomes package version, right? Self-closing tag there, self-closing tag there. Come back to the deployment package, drop the version, right? Drop the version, and then rebuild that guy. It says see output window, but that's not really that helpful when it doesn't show it. Yeah, the design time builds are having fun, but okay, so we rebuild. That's fine. Finish real quick, and then I'm going to redeploy you, and then I want you to run. Go. Class not registered. Okay. Okay, so here's my thought. We put this back. I come up here to a property group, and I grab my directory build props, and I say this becomes false, right? Because I'm immediately noting that this is not the new SDK format bits. So we're going to turn that guy off because he probably wasn't working anyway. We're going to come over to here, turn that guy off, right? This guy we need to grab our centralized package version on, right? So we need 005. Oh. Let's see, I need 005. And I need, oh, same exact thing. Okay. Then we rebuild you. Okay, so it does have all of those now. Launch. Still not happy. Still not happy. Trying to think here, what is the easiest way to try and debug this? Let's do something a little different. So let's spin a new project because this repo has a bunch of implicit stuff in it, and I don't know how much of that is contributing. So let's build the project outside of this directory and then move it in. All right, so we're going to go there. I'm going to put you straight in my dev directory, right? And then we're going to still call you main demo WinUI, right? We're going to keep the naming. Sure, defaults are great. And I think that's what we'll do is we'll build this outside, make sure it works, right? And then work our way backwards. Okay. So Control Shift B, let's build this guy out. So this guy is immediately blowing up. Okay, so that has nothing, that bit of it has nothing to do with anything I have done. And there's no updates to any of these packages. Okay, so everything's on latest. That's fine. That's fine. Is it just the minimum version? Right, so sorry, I'm just checking to see if there is anything. I'm just surprised that last time file new project worked and this time it doesn't, which found conflicts between different versions of WinRT runtime. Reference WinRT runtime 1.1.2. NuGet reunion, great. I'm wondering if there is a difference in these ones between the one that I did last time. So let's just take a look. All right, I thought we just took defaults on them. Yeah, that's all well and good. This one enables nullability. Okay, I don't immediately see a difference between these, but I do see that one of these reloaded its dependencies and the other one didn't, which is a little interesting to me. So one of you had a problem, the other didn't. What would be going on? Ooh, there's new preview. Just dropped 10 hours ago. Do we install the new preview right away, immediately? What could go wrong? Right? Okay, so sorry, just checking these values to see if they match. Those are the same. Those are the same. These things are just for what we compiled, which is fine. There doesn't appear to be any differences, and yet this thing is failing to restore. So let's unload, reload, and I kind of want to see package manager, build. It is very interesting to me that it is squawking at this, especially since the 1.1 runtime. Let's see. Includes so it's almost like I launched something that loaded up a different value into my cache, which the amount of things that I could have loaded into my cache is unfortunately rather large. So let's try this NuGet cache. We're just going to get rid of all the ones that are giving me problems. So D Microsoft Windows and SDK. So Microsoft. Let's see. Oh, M, not W. Only a couple Microsoft ones. Windows SDK netref. Okay. Microsoft Project Reunion. Project Reunion. Get rid of that. So that would seem to imply that half my problem was I apparently loaded something at some point which downloaded a bad thingy. Okay, so that seems to have made my life a little bit better. No, you're still finding hits. Where are you finding this? Microsoft Windows SDK. So this is coming down with this version here. Why? I'm kind of tempted to just do WinRT runtime and add the NuGet package in to resolve the conflicts, right? So browse WinRT runtime, right? Apparently that's not a thing. So this would mean this guy. So let's copy this in again. I'm not happy about having to do this, but I'm going to do it because last time it at least got us up and running. Right? So rebuild. Try so we're going to close and relaunch this just to see. We'll let that kick off a clean one since I don't know how much it cached and we just blew away a bunch of stuff out of the NuGet cache, which is usually a great way to get yourself into a broken situation. Okay. Do we build? File new project build is not supposed to be hard. Build succeeded. Okay. Build. Succeeded. Launch. Did note a couple things about. Okay, so that works. Right? Did note something in this build thing about installing Project Reunion. That's debug. Let's look at the build one. Right? Checking whether required frameworks are installed. Project Reunion, blah, 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 is not currently installed. Not currently installed. Great. Okay, we have a running project. So let's pick it up and move it. Right? This is what I want. I want to copy. I want to come over to my material design project. Right? I want to probably close Visual Studio down before I get too carried away. I want to delete this folder. And I would like to paste my other folder. Right? So, working app. Right? We've got a proof of it working outside the repo. Now let's make it work inside the repo. Right? So let's relaunch this guy. And that should hopefully get us working. And I think in the interest of simplicity, I'm probably just going to turn off some of the centralized stuff. Okay, so we have all of this. Set a startup project, right? Build. Start with the easy question. Do it compile? Okay, so this guy is squawking about that. So let's first go through and turn off centralized package management. Boom. So this guy here becomes false. Right, so we're going to turn that off. Right, rebuild this guy. So these guys we aren't going to use the centralized package management for. We're going to just turn all that stuff off. Project needs to be deployed. Sure. Deploy the project. And then launch. So something has changed. Right? Let's start with the obvious and assume that it is something inside of this property group. Right? So we'll just comment everything out. Seems logical. Launch. Okay, so that didn't get me what I wanted. Rebuild. What else is in here that might be... Oh. It's got this global... But it does allow rolling forward. You know what? In the interest of simplicity, we're just going to empty those contents out. I'm trying to think of what else is in here that might be directory based. Because the fact that it works in one directory, fails in another, is a great sign that you have something directory based in here. Host policy. Okay, so let's stop. Let's clean. rebuild. Well, no, let's clean U2. Clean. Rebuild. Just make sure that, oh boy, got a lot of stuff open. Close down a lot of stuff. Okay. Is there anything else in here that might be directory based? These three here clearly are. Those are also the three that I know about. There's nothing else inside of any of these that might do that. Why would you fail over here? Okay, so other thing that could be doing it, right, is this solution file is technically different, right? So if one of these things is making assumptions about the solution directory, that could do it. So let's fire up this solution file. So this should be the same solution file with the same projects, just living in a different directory. Right? Should be an easy win. There were deployment errors. Continue. That's convenient. Deployment target local machine does not support projects targeting ARM64 platform. That is correct. Oh. I wonder if that was set differently on the other one too. Because this is not an ARM device. So it would kind of make sense that it wouldn't. I wonder if I even see that drop down on the other one. Okay, so that launches. So this works inside, but now I want it to work when I open this solution. Because ultimately the end goal is I want to make a solution filter for WinUI. That's my end goal, right? So, ha 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 ha. That's dumb. That's what's probably been biting me. That dumb. So this drop down up here lets you change your target architecture. And apparently, because of this thing, shows you the configurations across all of your projects. Now, with WinUI, the NeCPU isn't a thing, right? Like we saw in the CS proj, there it launches. Perfect. Okay, so that ultimately was the issue. Okay, so the problem being that this dropdown needs to be set according to your target platform. Mine wasn't, right? You can see the target platforms that these guys are set up on here. I don't think there's a way to set this default. I'm pretty sure it's user preference, which is disappointing. Okay, so let's go ahead and start putting some stuff back and make sure everything is happy. So let's go back here. So a few things we're going to change. So global.json, discard changes. Great. We're going to delete this solution because that is not a thing that we care about. And then we will start putting stuff back as we go. Okay, so step 1, launch. Make sure that, okay, still works. Perfect. I'm going to just start putting stuff back as we go. Directory build props. Let's turn this back on. Right? I think we can get away with this, and I think this guy still has... Let's put... Because this guy is going to be nested one level deeper, I think we'll still allow it to sign. We're just going to change this guy to be .whack, right? Relaunch. And ultimately, I want to see if I can get away with the centralized package management on top of this. So if I'm going to be picky, I'm going to go for gold. Okay, so that not happy. Okay, so let's get rid of this. Because this worked a minute ago, but that was without the directory props. So let's just turn signing off. Right, so we're going to do... Just turn that off and see how that works. I wonder if the signing is part of what is breaking it. So that is also breaking it. So just to confirm, if I comment you all back out again, right, and then rebuild this guy, it should work again. Let's see here. Let's do... Yeah, it's freaking out at the moment because all of the whenever I change that package lock stuff, the thing goes crazy. Okay, so it launches there. So something in the directory build props is causing this thing to blow up. Right? So let's bring this back in and let's pick on the obvious one, right? So we're going to assume configuration or one of the signing settings is what's causing it, because that would be the most logical. So launch there. That would be what I would expect. And interesting. So that is causing a problem too. Okay, so let's keep going. Those two. Right? I'm gonna be shocked if it's something like Lang version. That wouldn't make a lot of sense. Error report, maybe. Okay, so let's just... I mean, I can't imagine copyright or company because those are just for NuGet packaging, right? That would make more sense. Okay, so it's that one. Okay, so you are the problem child. So let's start bringing some of this back. Right, so if I undo those, make sure it still works. So I'm wondering if this needs to be applied false on the packaging one. That would make a lot of sense. Let's work our way backwards to it. Okay. There's that. That's fine. Turn this on. I'm just going to slowly add the stuff back in. Slowly add it in until I can confirm exactly which one of these guys is the problem, and then we will work from there. Okay, so that works. Let's turn configurations back on. Right, and confirm that it really is the centralized package management that's breaking this whole thing. Okay, so that is assuredly breaking me. So if I take this guy and I go here and I explicitly, we don't want to put it there. Oh, I put it there last time. I wonder if that's what bit me. Let's put it here, right? We're going to set this guy to false. And I say shouldn't have put it here because this one has a condition on it, right? And then we come back here and we turn this guy on and we launch. Huzzah! We are now working. We are in business, finally. Okay, so next thing, I want to see if we can actually make this thing play nice with the other children. So if we turn this back to true, I should be able to delete this, right? And delete these, right? And it should still work. No, it falls over. Okay, centralized package management, and this is no bueno. What is your problem? Here, let me help you. Unload, reload, do your design time thing. You happy? Back to a breaking project. Wait a minute. That's not what's supposed to happen. Wonder if I should have been rebuilding before each of those steps. If I'm getting if I got a false positive. Interesting. Okay, so once again, oh, because I still have this turned on, don't I? Dang it. If I leave you commented out, does the problem go away? I wonder if there's some order of operations going on here that gets... So yeah. Okay, so how about we do this? We'll conditionally add you. All right, so condition. So if so if the value is empty, then set it to true. Right? See if I can get away with that. Okay, that seems to be good. Let's recompile this one more time. Hui vey. So for those people unfamiliar with it, this is an MS Build trick. You can check the state of a variable and only set it then. And I don't quite recall the order of when the directory build props gets added, right? Whether it gets put at the beginning or the end. Because with MS Build, last in wins. And I don't know where that one sits. Okay, just to be absolutely confident. Okay, so that works. Great. Right? And I can switch back to our regular WPF app, right? Fire that off. The fact that I have to do x64 or don't have to, but can't do anything else is a little annoying. We're going to roll with it, of course. Output language parameter. So this might be an interesting... So this seems to imply that it's downloading the wrong version of Show Me the XAML. Hence the compilation failure. Let me look and see. I think one of these things actually has a better conditional sample. Oh, that's why I didn't put ticks around it. That's probably what's wrong. Because we want to check for empty string. So let's try that and see if that compile better. So I would hope that this guy figures out the let's see, packages. There we go. So now it's launching and figuring out. Okay, perfect. So I can launch WPF. I can launch WinUI. Oy vey. That was a little too challenging. It's not supposed to be this hard to get it to work. Huzzah! We got something running. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so let's deal with a couple minor issues here. So one, this guy should be declared nullable. We're going to rename him because I just don't like the name of that. Clean this up, pun intended. And make that a little cleaner. So that should make some of those go away. Okay, so just to confirm, we didn't break anything. And then we're going to go back to our original demo. And we're going to, so the next goal is to bring forward our demo. Right? So this guy here, we did some stuff with. Right? So I want to add this to my app over here. So right, so we're going to do that. I'm going to rename you like that. Clean up all of that stuff. Great, great, great. Let's grab the XAML from this side. Right, so we're going to do something akin to this. And throw that away. And I think that's probably good. Okay, so let's make sure we can click our button and see, oh, this style isn't going to exist yet. We'll get rid of that. We'll bring the style back in a minute, but for now, I just want to make sure we can come in here and go click, 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 click. right? So that much works. Perfect. That's what we want. Okay. So next bit is, rather than having the styles, well, hang on, before we get too carried away, we're gonna make a commit. Getting default WinUI project running. All right, boom. So that goes there. Let's see now if we can spin a class library, right? Because we showed that before in our little example here, right? We got through and got most of this working. And I would like to see if I can get the rest of it working. That would be the goal. Now, unfortunately, there's a tempting idea of, let's try and share code between the WinUI and the WPF side. I don't think that's going to be viable, right? There's too many subtle differences. I don't think that's going to work. So, but we are going to new project this beast. And I want WinUI. So I want WinUI 3, right? I want to build up class library. That's what I want. Next. And we are going to call this material design in XAML WinUI. Right? That should line up with what we named the other. No, material design themes. Right? Material design themes WinUI. Good to me. Ship it. So I want to take and bring in, so the end goal here is I want to bring in the same code that we did over on the other side into this project. But I want to look, right? So is this an SDK project? Yes. Okay. So step one, can we compile it before we do anything else, right? So it's completely foobarred, right? So we need to go back up to here, but we've already kind of fought with this a little bit, right? So we are going to turn off centralized package management because for whatever reason, this thing is just obnoxious, right? So centralized package management, WinUI, not a thing, right? So that should fix. And then I'm going to unload reload because oftentimes that kicks the restore into gear. Right? Build. It's an empty project with nothing in it. Of course it does. Okay, so this guy here is having the same issue that this guy did. So be it. We'll bring that guy down here as well. Right? Not really clear what I installed that broke this, but that should at least get that much working, right? So perfect. So that gets that guy to resolve. Everyone's back to being happy. Okay, so we built an empty project. Huzzah. Okay, so now let's grab those files that we need. Right, so I want both of these guys. Open containing folder. So let's see. So I actually want to grab this, 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 and this. We'll make a copy of those guys. Jump up to my material design one, the WinUI project, and we're just going to dump it straight there. I don't know. It's probably worth, let's create a new folder here and go like this. All right, so we're going to move those guys underneath that. Come over here. Change the namespace. Come over here. Change the namespace. All right, so those things should be fine. Duplicate template visual state attribute. Sorry, what? That seems to imply that you have attributes of unique, which doesn't appear to be the case. I am confused why that might be an issue, but we'll ignore it for the moment. Let's check these guys here. So using this is incorrect. Will you autocorrect for me? No. That would be too easy. So this is going to be material design themes, WinUI. Right, that should get me most of what I want. Same with the ripple. All right, that should get me most of what I want. Let's see if we can build. Should be easy. This code's already written. And for whatever reason, it is not happy with these attributes. I do not understand why. The fact that it thinks those are dupes. Okay, we're going to ignore it for the moment. I don't know if it's a big deal yet. And right now we're just trying to get this thing working. Getting a nicely templated control will be a secondary objective. Okay, so that's there. We can actually clean some of that up. Huzzah! C#9, all the things. Okay, so that's there. This guy is now built, right? So that's convenient. Let's come up here, add project reference, and I should be able to add a reference down to the WinUI project, which is what we want. All right, so that makes me happy. Now, before, these things just lived and were brought in at the app.xaml, right? Yeah, so we're gonna do something akin to this, I think. So, oh, I guess we don't need all of that. We really just need these. But the kicker is going to be, I want to do this, but I want my source to be elsewhere. So, using colon, I think. It's really not giving me a lot of help to work with here. I don't know how it know to go somewhere else. I wonder if it follows the same pack strategy as this guy, right? So this guy does pack URLs. Let's give this a shot. I think it might work that way. Let's see. So rather than WPF, this becomes WinUI, and it picks up that, right? So same thing here. Rather than WPF, this becomes WinUI, and it just works there. Does that work? Build. Kind of expect it to be a build failure. There's enough stuff in here. A lot of what they did is performance improvements, which means a lot of this stuff can get resolved at compile time, which is nice. Because most of the time you don't need it resolved at runtime. Unhandled exceptions. So this is more useful than the last one. Cannot locate resource from pack. XAML parsing failed. So how to reference that, right? Because I don't know what that's going to look like. So how do I get access to you? Let's see here. Well, this feels like a Google problem. WinUI 3 reference XAML from another project, right? Oh, custom WinRT. Maybe. It's not quite what I'm looking for. Yeah, this is XAML islands. That's not what we're looking for. Limitations and known issues. Ooh, actually, controls gallery. This might be... Oh, this is both helpful and not helpful. What is helpful is that this has a library. And I suspect what I'm looking for might be in here. Theme dictionaries, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. There is literally not a thing in here. Okay. So that is not overly helpful. Okay, so XAML controls resources. I'm a little interested in how this thing works. I am not as familiar with these APIs, so this is definitely a stumble your way through. Let's see. So I guess while we're in here, though, what we can look up is resource dictionary and see what the sample is that shows it to us. Let's see, resource. Microsoft Windows, I don't know which one this is. Which one is it? Microsoft UI.xaml. So I don't know which one is which. This one is the one I want. So this guy here. That's fine. I want to see how to reference it though. Key, iterating, XAML syntax, source. You do need to explicitly declare a resource dictionary object code, so you also and source. Otherwise, you use this syntax, blah blah blah. Yep. Yep, that's. I kind of want to know source URI. Okay, so let's just break this down then. If I want to be uber stupid simple, right? It looks kind of like that, I guess. What is the, yeah, the problem is I don't know how to do. I don't know how to reference the source. That's what I want. How about URI? Let's see. The resource dictionary source represents blah blah blah. Can't have a key. Blah. I get it. This doesn't help me. But how do you know Oh, did that work? Really? It's that simple, huh? Okay, that's remarkably easy. Okay, so if that's the case, right, so that should launch too. How do it know? Well, it launched. The bigger question now is, can I do my static resource, right? So can I get, right, this to resolve now? Because that's ultimately what I'm looking for. I want to have my button auto work. More importantly, I want to go and make an implicit style. Look at that. We are back to functional. And it's in the app. Or in the repo. Okay. So that gets me to there. Okay. We are now working. Okay. This makes me very, very, very happy. This gets us actually into a usable state now. Okay, so let's go through and clean up just a little bit of this. So I want to create a defaults one next, right? That is my new thing. So actually, before we get too carried away, I think we can clean. Oh, this actually did exactly what I wanted. So let's go and do a add new item. Sure. Load your templates. Resource dictionary. WinUI 3. Let's see. So this is going to become material design theme defaults, right? So right, wrong, or indifferent, this is the name that exists on the WPF side. And so I think keeping the same will go a long way. Okay, so what I would like to do is over here, this guy should just have a list of implicit styles, right? So static, target type, button, based on static resource, right? Material design raised button, right? That is what we want. So same with, and I can't remember on the WPF side, does Ripple, is it always implicit or is that always explicit? I think it's in generic, if I'm not mistaken. So Ripple is always implicit, which feels a little wrong. So we're going to change that over here because I don't like that. So X key material design Ripple, right? Boom. So we're going to change that up. And then on our defaults, we're going to go boom, boom. And this will become, I want this to actually not be nested. I want it to be higher up. Local Ripple, right? And this should be Ripple. Boom. So that gives me that. That gives me that. That means up here in my app now, I just do defaults, right? Boom. That should be all I need. And then on my main window, I can drop this. I can drop this. Hit F5, and it should just load all my stuff. It should all just work. If it does, we're doing a commit. And this will at least get that much working, right? XAML parsing failed. Can you be any more specific? Apparently not. Okay, so something in the XAML parse failed. We don't know what, but we do know it's here. Remove this qualifier. So let's start with the obvious. So it got to here. Did I mess something up in here? I don't think so. So I think what we can do is if I comment both of these out, right, and launch this, right, it should work. Let's just confirm that what I changed here is what did me under. Do you launch? Yes. So this launches here. So that's okay. So that clearly solves that problem. Let's uncomment this. So the logical place is the ripple X key X button. Oh, I wonder if because this guy does it. Oh, I bet you it's this guy is failing because this one needs to bring in the appropriate dictionaries, right? So resource dictionary source. Oh, come on. Really? Bet you this guy needs to bring these in so that it has access to those static resources. Right? And I bet you that's probably what's happening is the static resource is failing to resolve. And there we go. That is the problem. Okay. So, like I said, commit time. So, getting resource library working with some basic styles. Okay, so we've got the project set up. We've got, well, let's actually, what's the upstream on this? Set upstream, origin, WinUI experiment. Sure, push that. Okay, so we'll get that up there. Now I guess the question is which problem do we want to address first? We could go after the ripple problem. It's probably the biggest one to address. Let's go after the ripple problem, I guess. I think that's probably the simplest. Yeah. Whoop. Not what we meant to open. Let's go back and look at what we've got, and then I want to reorient myself with what the problem is, right? So we've got, so there is the issue of the focus rectangle, and I don't know if we try to address it, right? Because this button looks pretty good, right? We've got our kind of rounded corners going on, which is fine. But as soon as we click this, you'll note we have the issue that we ran into at the end of the time before, right, is figuring out how to properly handle this, because the structure that was done in the WPF relied on kind of this end pointer events, right? And adjusting the state, right? And what we discovered before is we have this problem of capturing it, right? So here's the note we left, right? We need to capture this to get the pointer released event, but this also appears to prevent the click from propagating up, right? So there's a double-edged sword. So if we put this in, Thinking, compiling. Come over here, right? If we click it, right? We can now see that we're actually getting it, but it's only because we're capturing this guy, and so we're actually getting the released event, right? Which is coming into here, right? And then this guy is doing a bunch of work to know that the pointer was either canceled, capture lost, or released, right? So that's what we are looking for. The problem is we did this on pointer pressed, right? And so this is ultimately what we need to look at. Because this resets us back to normal, and then this goes us to state of added. I almost wonder if there's a better way of doing this where we don't need to just blindly register for this every single time, right? Because capturing the pointer seems wrong, right? The end of a press action is not guaranteed to. So we actually want to, let's dive into this guy a little bit, because this is, I think, what we were looking for, specifically the docs here. Right, so it specifically calls these out. Now I believe highlight and press F1 should take us, yes, it works the way you would expect. Right, so if you highlight an element in Visual Studio and hit F1, it should take you to the right docs page, which is exactly what we want. Any of these interactions can produce a released event, so we may want to take a look at this handle pointer events. Pointer canceled, pointer capture lost. Don't rely on pointer pressed events. So let's take a look at this. Users expect them to be consistent, intuitive, and discoverable. Yeah. This is, yeah, I get it. For app developers, that makes sense, but we're legitimately building a library. Okay, so pointer captured, pointer enter, pointer exited. And so we were watching for which three here, right? So canceled, capture lost, and released. And canceled, capture lost, and released. I don't think we want exited. We don't want moved. Create the UI, yada yada. So what we are looking for is a way of allowing that to handle pointer events. We add the event to the event log and display the pointer details. So pointer pressed, so it's handling it. Target capture pointer. Lock the pointer to the target. What is target here in this case? target appears to be the rectangle in question, right? It's probably defined up here, yeah. So target is the black rectangle, or I guess the stroke is black, the fill is red. It's RGB, so it's this guy here. So, okay, so given that, the red rectangle is capturing the pointer, and that guy, okay. Single pointer, so the first, okay. Clicking the mouse button left or row creates a secondary association. Pointer moved event, okay. Get it. So in our case, when we did capture, right? So this is the ripple capturing it. Is that correct? The problem is if the ripple captures the pointer, it's never going to reach the appropriate control. Right? Because that, I believe, is the problem. So even though this now works in terms of the ripple getting the appropriate events, it does not work in terms of I'm not entirely clear why we have the static hash set. Right? So you'll note, even though we're clicking and the ripple is now behaving the way we expect, we are not, in fact, getting the click event to the button because this guy has captured it. So I almost want to cue that differently and let is there a dispatcher or similar? Right? I'm wondering if I can like begin invoke my way around this problem. Dispatcher, that's what I want. Run async. Schedules the provided callback on the UI thread from a worker thread and returns the results asynchronously. It's kind of what I want. Let's see. Because this call is not awaited, I suppose we can await this. The big issue is this is going to need to then be an async void method, which is just all kinds of exciting. What do you want? You want a dispatcher core priority. So let's do this. I'll give you a priority of, how about just normal? I'm not familiar with these, so normal sounds great. Because I'm wondering if this will let the click make its way all the way down before this guy actually gets captured. Because if this gets scheduled on the UI, I think the processing of the click should continue to propagate before this delegate can be picked up. That's the theory. Object reference not set to the instance of an object. So what exactly is null? Dispatcher is null. Okay. Didn't see that one coming. I hate doing this. Application current That WPF, that would have a dispatcher. Okay, so if that's not a legit option, who? So that's okay. So that is. I'm somewhat tempted to automatically just not try to handle the long press on this thing. I at least for an MVP, I am somewhat inclined to go that route. But what would that mean? That would mean immediately firing this, and letting it go. Should mean getting rid of all of these. The problem is you don't know. You don't know when the state transition ends, right? Fairly confident you don't get to know that information without putting in your own manager. Let's see. So let's try just grabbing these. I'm just trying to see what. So that's the transitions. So you could theoretically wait for those to be done. Current state changed. We could just change this up. So rather than having these two separations of states, it just always shows the ripple in and out and have it be a single state. I just don't like that. Feels so wrong. Feels very, very wrong. So what makes more sense? What makes more sense? Because it would be nice to be able to get both events, right? So this is obviously not going to work. The issue being that this will not. If we look here, the Visual State Manager here, we've got all these transitions, right? So that's fine. Mouse pressed, mouse out, right? And each of these what's the transition times? 1.2 seconds, 1.2 seconds, 0.5. Normal to mouse pressed. Mouse out takes a little over 1/10 of a second. guess the question is, what are we ultimately trying to achieve? We want to know when, so this is going to be mouse specific, and that's the problem, is this was written for a mouse. And in WinUI, we have a lot more than just mouse input. So given that, if we have more than just mouse input, does it make sense? So if I'm using touch, right, and I tap on the button, I guess tap is the same as click. So in either of these cases, this is fine, right? I basically want to know as long as I'm being pressed, right? So let's just look at the events real quick. Do we have any concept of, so double tap, start dragging, holding? I'm wondering if we could leverage this instead, right? Let's look at what are the docs for holding. Yeah, sure, fine. Sounds fine. Show me the docs on these. Touch can produce a holding action, but mouse devices generally can't. Ah. Right, so this would occur if you were going to try to do a touch like start the drag event. Ah. Holding represents a gesture, pointer press is a lower level input event. Okay. Let's look at this events and routed events. I kind of want to know how to observe an event. So this is kind of what we want, right? We would like to observe the event and still, okay, so let's look at that, because the only reason we were capturing was because we wanted to get access to an event. So add handler, right? Boom, boom, boom. Let's see, and so we want things like released, pointer released event, right? So we want that event, handler, object handler. True. I'm just wondering why that is an object and not like a delegate, because I kind of want to pass it. Let's look. Let's look at add handler. I think it's supposed to be like a new routed event handler instance. A reference to the handler implementation. Add handler. Pointer event handler. Yeah, so it wants the delegate type for the event. Okay, so that's fine. We can do that. So what we want to do here is look at what this is. Let's see. I think we probably want a separate instance for each call. New routed event handler, and we want to feed it end pointer event, right? We want to get all these things. What is your problem? Routed event. Pointer. Oh, so this is actually pointer event handler. There, that's what I was messing up on. So we want to do that, and for now, let's just test it this way, right? So we're not gonna do any capturing. All right, we're gonna just let that go for the moment. Drop the async off of this guy, and let's see if this works. All right, I want to basically, without capturing, does this get me the event? In WPF land, it may or may not, depending on if somebody else captures, right? Because you can hijack. But I don't know if I set it up this way, if this will let me always observe it. Right? No, so that is not getting me all the way in. Something else is effectively grabbing this. So let's events. I don't think you will show me. You won't. Let's see. Visual tree. Give me that. So I'm kind of curious. Live Property Explorer. Mount this. Is there like a captured? That's not really helpful. I was sort of hoping there was going to be like a is pointer captured or something to that effect. It'd be computed if it was. Is pressed, is pointer over. That's kind of what I'm looking for. Does the ripple show? Ripple doesn't show any properties. It's making me question this a little bit. The fact that these don't update is also making me question. That gets me in, but it's not letting me have access to it. So I have to believe the button is hijacking it and not letting it get all the way down to the ripple. That would be my working theory. So we can't just... Well, let's... Before we say conclusively, let's finish these out, right? Let's get the other two in here. Pointer event handler. Let's see. Pointer canceled event, right? And then pointer what was it? I don't know if capture lost actually makes sense. The other thing that I'm wondering about is in WPF land, you could shoot yourself in the foot with this by not holding a reference to the delegate. I don't think that's what's happening here, but let's just make sure. Alright, so let's just see if that gets me anywhere closer, and then we just dump foo there, foo there, foo there. Alright, we'll give this one more shot. Show me. Let's take a look here and see what this is. So nothing making it back. What does the move event handler do? Relative position. So this one is probably never hitting either, because I don't think it's well, let's put a breakpoint down here. I don't know if it's possible to hit this condition. Right, because the move is not firing for outside the ripple. So I can't, so this is not really relevant. So this is likely, this is more like pointer left or exited. Yeah, so this is more like pointer exited. All right, so this is, the Elvis has left the building point. So let's go down here. This guy, so where did it go? Pointer exited, and so I want to grab these things, and I think we're just gonna, we can clean this up a lot. I don't think we need any of this stuff, right? Because if this event fires for a given ripple, we can just, right, we can just change state. We don't need to, right? This makes it a little bit easier. Because if the mouse leaves, we expect the ripple to stop rippling, which is effectively what that move was attempting to accomplish. We can just do it easier now. Right? All that code goes away because the move won't trigger. So it starts, we move away. Right? So it stays there until I move off. Right? The problem being is that so that gets us a little better. I am noticing that when I press, hold, and move off, it's not the same as if I do that. Which I think that goes back to handle pointer inputs. Don't really care to follow those. Don't really care to follow those. Query pointer. Visual feedback, right? Storyboard transition. Style, ellipse style. So what is this doing here? Right, so there's a style, it's on an ellipse, has a storyboard, has some transitions. See, and part of the issue here is I want to observe the events. Let's look and see. Do they have one? Oh, focus visual sample. I would love to see a focus visual sample. I would love to see this because that's something else to change too, is that that one around it. So what did they do here? Just start with that. So scenario, visual state groups, yada yada yada, did some stuff. Split views. Am I missing it? I don't see it. Hyperlink button. Probably in the scenarios. Custom focus visuals. That's what I would like to do. Nothing in the setters. Use system focus visuals. Set this to false. Oh, so we can just turn it off. Oh, well that's remarkably easy. So let's go to our buttons and we're just going to turn it off. Right? And that should get rid of the big white rectangle that we've been looking at this whole time. All right, and we'll do it in a style setter, so if somebody wants to turn it back on, they can. It's not a big deal. I do want to figure out how I can observe the mouse up event on the ripple inside of a button. Yeah, so you'll note we don't have our little white thing anymore, so that's nice. Okay, so that was a useful sample. User interaction mode. Let's look at the C# side of things. Scenario basic. Sure, so what do you do here? This is not what we were looking for. Basic input. This looks better. C#. Input events. Pointer properties. Let's do input events too. Let's look at both of these real quick. So scenario 2 page canvas. So it's watching all of these things on the canvas itself. All right. Pointer exit, pointer released, wheel changed, blah blah blah. Get pointer properties. Get mouse properties. Just fine, right? This is all good stuff, but this isn't. What I want to know is when the button is released. Press target. pointer pressed, pointer released. Right? So this is royal blue. So this is fine, right? But this is literally doing exactly what the doc said not to do. Right? Rely on the ones. I guess this isn't technically relying on it, right? If it doesn't fire, you don't end up with the background being set. But the problem is we are not getting the end events. And what is the best way to handle that? So we capture the pointer. Let's take a look at this. What else do we have access to? The intermediate points is handled. Original source. Pointer. It's on the pointer itself. Then contact is in range, right? Because there is that concept of hovering. That's not going to be overly helpful. Key modifiers is generated. I don't think we care about either of those. I mean, I am somewhat interested in handled, right? So let's check that. What does e.handled look like when this thing fires? If we come in here, click, and I'm interested in knowing what e.handled is. Has it been handled? No. I am interested to know if so in WPF there's the concept of bubbling versus tunneling, and I'm not sure if that same thing exists here or not. Doesn't really appear to, right? Because this is typed event handler. Would be buried under the routed events. Pointer pressed event, right? So what is this is using a lazy, which is here, which is a weak lazy instance, which is getting set up where? Must be in here. Oy vey. UI element, which would be this guy. Okay, which is fine, except for this feels very recursive. Because if this guy gets instantiated there, and this guy just does weak reference.lazy, doesn't that just loop me back around to here to know which one it is? Again, that's fine, it just was leaving me with more questions than answers. So, come down here, we can do something like pointer pressed, right? Which is getting me right back into where I started. So I guess that's the question, right? Is do these routed events have a concept of bubbling or tunneling or any of that, right? So if I do this, yeah, there's basically nothing on them. Which makes me wonder if it would be better to change the way this thing works altogether. Rather than having the RIPL rely on getting pointer information. Instead, have the parent control dictate to it the current state that it should be in. I'm wondering if that makes a little bit more sense. Because then the button itself could track it. Let's look. So if we did it up here, right, the idea would be that this guy's visual states would, I guess that's the question. How can I get the default states for the button? Right? So I want to go to button. I want to know something about his visual states. So if I just do button, right? That one. Right? Can I get any information about what his default states look like? So I wonder if I can do this. So WinUI 3 GitHub, right? In theory, in theory, this lives in here, right? Because what I would love to see is feature proposal, upgrades, source code structure. Yes, it's sort of helpful, but not all the way helpful. Common. So what I'm ultimately looking to find is where the templates exist for these things. Is there any XAML in here? Right? Proj items. So how about this? WinUI 3 default control templates, right? If I wanted to retemplate blank app, yep, this is fine. This is how you create a control template, right? So define it, do all of that jazz. But what I'm really interested in seeing is where the actual templates live. Where Microsoft Docs, this is the docs page for what we just looked at. This is that page only for C++. Not helpful. WinUI 3 templates. This is what we want. Let's see. this is Windows Template Studio. Let's see, this is that's just the issue. This doesn't. There's a lot here. I was looking for. The problem is what we're doing with this is a little bit different. See, this isn't quite. Yeah, I might have to poke around and see. It's not overly helpful. Because I am wondering if maybe the solution to this problem is to stop making the ripple control its own state and have its state handed down to it instead. Because then the button could notify the ripple of what state the button was in, and the ripple could just respond accordingly, right? The ripple would no longer need to pay attention to things like hit testing and whatnot, right? It could be completely transparent for all effective purposes. And it wouldn't matter anymore, right? Because right now this thing is having to be transparent simply for the case of it needs to be hit test visible, right? And if we look at the button, right, the button has this ripple and it's got this setup here and things have to flow in and out. And I think that's part of the problem, is it's making it increasingly difficult to know. So let's just narrow down some bits real quick. I think I'm just about out of time, but I am interested in knowing pointer pressed, right? So let's do that. Pointer released, right? So new event handler. All right, so we'll spin a couple event handlers there, and in both of these cases, let's just dump inside, right? So we're gonna do debug, right line, button pressed, right? Come down here, we will do button released, right? So those two guys there will exist. Copy that guy, and let's go into the ripple, right? And I want to do, no, not there. I want to go to the handler. I want to do ripple pressed, right? And then we're going to copy this guy, and we're going to go up here and do right. So we're just gonna undo that guy, and then launch. Because I'm imagining what's happening is all of these events, I think, are bubbling. Well, that wouldn't make sense. If everything bubbled, then how would I have received the press? Right, so let's go here. We're going to take this guy, clear the output window, and just pin him to the bottom so we can keep an eye on him, right? Of course, we hit a breakpoint, so we're going to continue. Interesting, we're only getting... We are only getting ripple pressed. We're not getting any events from the button. That's unusual. Why would no events make it to the button? That's a little unusual in my mind. Let's see, e dot handled. All right, I think we're going to explicitly turn that off. I'm just surprised that nothing's making it up to the button level. Which is really, really shocking to me. So that doesn't do anything. So ultimately, we're still fighting the issue of ripple pressing. Well, I think I'm going to wrap this up for now tonight because it's getting late. Trying to get the ripple effect right. And I think what's coming from all of this is the understanding that this needs to be rethought on how it's working. And more accurately, rethought in terms of how WinUI has this structured. I'll have to think on that. But for now, I'm going to say happy coding. We'll see everyone next week.